Today on the Nerdy Gritty, GameStop recently made big announcements about upcoming changes to their stores. How can a brick-and-mortar gaming store survive in today's gaming landscape? Gaming.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Nerdy Gritty, where we delve deep into the details
they
of
delve
pop
with
culture.
us.
We delve together.
We delve. All of us
It's delving.
delve.
I'm Dez.
It's Michael Delving.
This could be the worst intro we've
Michael
ever
Delving.
had.
No, we're fine. Michael Delving is a town in the Shire.
So Fox, I got a question for you.
You got a question for me?
What would you pay? Well, okay, no, let me rephrase that.
What would I pay?
How much would you sell your bathwater for?
How much would I... Excuse me? What?
Oh, have you not heard about
how much
this?
would I... No, I have not. How much would I sell my bathwater for?
How much would you sell your bathwater
Nothing.
for?
I would not get... I don't take baths, but I would not give that to people.
Oh, well, Gamer Girl bathwater is now a thing that has been on sale for a little while.
What?
Belle Delphine, a UK-based internet personality who is also a gamer girl, has taken pictures of herself taking a bath and then put up on her site that bathwater for sale.
Okay.
And it has sold like hotcakes.
In my Instagram, like with our Instagram, I've perused, cosplayers, and I have come across Belle Delphine before. Quickly, just for my own personal, quickly left her page, but yeah, okay.
Yes.
That's disheartening. That makes me sad.
So, Fox, you never answered my question, though. How much would you sell your bathwater for?
Oh.
No, $100 million.
How much is she selling it for? It'd have to be a lot
Double.
less.
I would start asking about what you're up to, but I forgot. I would forget to talk about this if I didn't go first.
No, that's fair. Go ahead. Do it.
I have played through a lot. I don't want to say all because I haven't. I'm about to go to Galeem in the Smash Brothers adventure mode.
Oh, yeah.
And it is really fun.
Yeah, it's
and
all right.
I'm really enjoying it. What about you? What have you been up to?
Well, we recorded our last one like 4 days ago, so we haven't had a lot of time to do much. But I have been playing Prey.
Oh.
You remember Prey came out 2 years ago?
Yeah.
It's
probably longer than that. I think Moonlight, the
Moon Crash
came out last year.
That's true. Yeah, a couple years. Yeah. Anyway, so I was playing it, and then I realized, like, in the intro, kind of, it says Bethesda Software. I've been playing just all of Bethesda's games.
They own you.
They really do.
My family and I just last night watched The Muppets, the 2011 movie with Jason Segel and Amy Adams.
Okay.
That movie is so funny.
I've never watched a Muppets movie, but I've always heard that they're really fun for everybody.
They're so well done. I looked it up. It's got like a 78 Metascore. It's a good movie. Like, I was really impressed. I'd seen it before, but I'd just forgotten how good it was. And then, of course, my favorite thing about all the Muppet movies is their whole goal is, all right, how many cameos can we fit in this one?
Oh, yeah.
How many? And so it's really funny to see, like, a young Childish Gambino. What's his name?
Donald Glover.
Donald Glover. Young Donald Glover's in that. Rashida Jones.
Glover.
Jim Parsons.
Also known as the Dong Lover. He was talking in an interview. He's like, I was like 23 before I realized my name is Dong Lover.
How did he survive junior high with that, man?
He went by Donald and Donald alone.
That is, wow. All right. That's good. Anything else you've been up to?
Not
in the past 4 days.
4 days. I've been watching more Mad Men.
Oh, yeah. Still good?
Yeah, it's a good show.
Yeah.
But people know that already. I mean, I'm not reviewing.
You heard it here first, folks. Mad Men
Men's a quality show. I've been reading War of the Realms more.
Oh, yeah.
And I love it. I love Jason Aaron's writing, and especially the art style with a lot of it, where it's kind of a fantasy quality to a lot of the art style, especially in his the Thor tie-in issues and stuff.
So speaking of reading and speaking of comics, I finished the Court of Owls book, and I've started the Killing Joke book,
Cool.
and I wish I'd have flipped those.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm like a third of the way through the Killing Joke, and it's not as good as the Court of Owls already. So I would say,
Did you read the Court of Owls series, like the comic series?
yeah, I have
that
the
is
graphic
based on?
novel.
And
Yeah,
obviously you've read the Killing Joke.
yeah.
Okay.
So the Court of Owls is a novelization. It is
Yes.
not based on anything, or it's not. It's a novel. It's not based on anything. It's not a novelization.
It's not even based on the.
It's a sequel to the Court of Owls.
It's a sequel
to the Night of Owls.
Because that's when
the graphic
that's
novel.
the not Rebirth, but New 52, right?
Right.
It's Court of Owls.
Yeah.
And
it's really well done, and
Okay.
it's really good and a lot of fun. Yeah, and they reference, obviously it's a sequel, so they reference the graphic novel a lot, but it's an original novelization all on its own. And I believe, I'm not going to say anything for sure, I didn't look, but I'm going to guess that they went and found a book author to do this.
Sure.
Anything else on your part?
One last thing that
Yeah.
speaking
all right,
of
'cause I'm out now, so this is good.
of something in a different genre or context. I walked to work the other day and started listening to Wolverine: The Long Night.
Ooh.
And
Choice.
I've listened to the first 2 episodes, and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Now, yeah. So that's all I've got to talk about. Do
All
you
right,
think it's
we
about
should probably
time?
get down to the
Get down to
nitty-gritty.
the
I feel like this
nitty-gritty.
has been a longer intro
Yeah,
than
it's all right.
normal. Yeah, whatever. But first, before we do that, we just want to let you guys know that if you're listening to this right now, that means that before this, you've listened to an edited version of what we talked about.
Yeah.
And as usual, we talked about a lot of things. We talked about the Muppet movie. We talked about Wolverine: The Lost Trail. We talked about Smash Brothers and Prey and all kinds of good stuff.
Yeah.
And we talked about a lot of these pretty in-depth. If you want to hear that, we could really use your support on our Patreon. For the $5 and $10 monthly subscriber or patrons,
Patron levels,
yeah,
tiers.
patron levels, you get an unedited version of this as well as all of our Patreon exclusive content. I think you just uploaded the entire
The
Final
first
Fantasy
section
10.
of my Final Fantasy X. It's kind of hard to. I'm trying to figure out how to give access to like private videos on YouTube, so without just having to like give a password. So right now it's unlisted and it's in section. But yeah, each week you'll get 7 new episodes of Final Fantasy X, my playthrough of it, which is one of my favorite games of all time. So I'm really into it. And so yeah, that's one thing that we're doing, as well as our podcasts.
Because our patrons helped us by man, my throat's been rough today. Sorry. Because our patrons helped us by Cadence of Hyrule, I'm going to be uploading the entire everything that we have, that one large chunk. I think we're at 8 episodes of that right now. It'll be coming out daily over the next few days on our channel. But you guys can binge watch that all in one chunk if you want to go ahead and head over to our Patreon. At the $1 level, you get to be part of our Discord. You get all of the Patreon exclusive content.
Yeah.
You get a lot of really cool stuff at that as well if you can't do the 5 or 10. So we really appreciate all the support you're able to give us if you head over to patreon.com/dezandfox. But as always, if that's not something you can do, we really just appreciate your support in any way, shape, or form. Liking, commenting, sharing, whatever you can do on whatever way that you're listening to this podcast, we appreciate your support. So, here's something interesting that happened. GameStop recently announced that in its concept stores, which means a big thing to me because I managed a concept store for about a year.
Right.
In its concept stores, it's going to be trying a new style of store. They are no longer going to be GameStop as we know them. They're going to focus on, with a company called RGA. Together, GameStop, this is the statement, together GameStop and RGA are developing and piloting new and streamlined physical store concepts, introducing new ways for gamers to try new titles before they buy them. Competitive sessions in homegrown ELeagues to locations that strictly retro gaming software and hardware. So here's the idea. They're trying different styles of stores in all of their concept stores, meaning games that are going to be able to be demoed and tried before they release. They're going to do maybe try a store that does that. Maybe one different store will be exclusively retro gaming, and you can go in and try all the retro stuff. Or a store that's going to be exclusively ELeague focused.
Yeah.
And local ELeague focused. Really what they're saying, though, is after a
You read
half
between the
a
lines.
$1 billion loss last year.
Yes.
And this was after they sold I think
Sprint Mobile.
Sprint Mobile.
For $750 million.
After they sold Sprint Mobile, they still lost.
They still posted a
$500 million.
half a $1 billion loss in their third quarter.
Right.
And I'm sure it wasn't gains,
Yeah,
loss,
yeah.
gains. I'm sure it was just the worst quarter of the year.
GameStop is falling apart. It
Yes.
really is. And they need to change. And this is their effort to change. So here's what Fox and I want to talk about today.
Yeah.
What do we think brick and mortar stores can do to remain relevant in today's gaming culture?
Yeah. So here's the first question before we get into like details.
Right.
Should they just go away? Should they just become an online retailer?
No.
No?
Definitely not.
Why not?
No. Because number one, not everybody has reliable internet. Not everybody.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, not everybody can afford reliable internet. I mean, even just in the States, I lived for 3 years. I lived out in the boonies where there was no wired internet. It was
Yes.
exclusively satellite internet, and there was no way. It would be a week-long download if I were to try and download a game online. And that's me coming from a middle-income American, got everything I
Right.
need.
And that's what, 4 miles from where you live right now.
Yeah.
It's not, I wouldn't even say it's out in the boonies. It's just more farms around there. Like
Right,
it's just
exactly.
farther away from where you are now. That's not rural
Yeah.
area.
Yeah. And so there are people out in the world that just, they can't do that. So the question is, why don't they just go to Target or Walmart or
Sure.
something like that?
They
and buy their
also
games?
don't have those. Or it's a couple hours. Like there are places in Missouri where I used to live, not where I lived, but there are towns where driving 45 minutes to the town I lived, that was when you went where you went and did your shopping.
Right.
It wasn't just a quick drive, and if you're younger and don't have a car, then you rely on your parents. They're not just going to drop everything and drive into 45 minutes into town to go to GameStop or to Target,
So yeah, or stores like GameStop that are specifically gaming focused, I still think are important.
Sure.
I think they're important because number one, it's significantly easier to get that, that weird periphery, or
That's true, yeah.
that used periphery a little bit cheaper. Maybe you're struggling, maybe
Yep.
you can't afford it. Like I try and buy firsthand to support developers and to support creators, but I can afford that. Maybe some people can't afford that.
No, plenty of people can't. and
Yeah.
that's fair. Like they shouldn't be required to. I appreciate third party for offering a cheaper alternative.
So I think that they are important for a few reasons. But the style that GameStop is doing it is dying.
Yes. I agree. They should continue to exist. I think the largest boon they have for themselves is right now the used market.
Yes.
That's if you don't play PC when you can regularly get games for 50 or 75% off new digital copy, or you don't play online, you don't do online like you said, then the used market is pretty big deal for you. And you like going to a store and being able to get a cheap game for $15 is pretty important. So I think that's something that they should continue to try to do. But to me, I think that's one of their big selling points, maybe.
Yeah, and this is the rough part though, because the used market is also what is hurting them the most right now. It's actually sort of a
Yes.
catch-22 that they're stuck in, because they need to make money to survive. And the most consistent market that they have is the used market. But because they're losing money everywhere else, they have to either charge more or pay less in that used market.
Yeah,
Because of that, people don't want to sell to them anymore.
right, because they can't give the payouts that
And so
people
they
want.
don't have the money that they want to make in the used market, so they have
That's
to
true.
either pay less or
It's a
sell,
vicious
sell
cycle.
for more.
Yeah.
And it is this cycle that they're stuck in right now of how can we both survive, just be alive,
Continue to be a
yeah,
company.
but also provide competitive prices and
Yeah.
things that are still going to get people coming into our store. And that's exactly the focus of these concept stores.
Yeah, so what they've tried in the past, like GameStop has changed a lot since I started getting into video games. Video games are obviously a big big thing that they still do, huge walls of used games and stuff. But they also have giant racks filled with merch, like backpacks or action figures or You know, like they have been trying. They did DVDs. They stopped doing that. That's not a thing anymore.
Right.
They have, I think, significantly shortened the amount of time that they will do older generations of games. Like they don't sell DS games as far as I can tell. 3DS, of course, that's a current
Right.
thing. But like they did PS2 for a good long time.
We had everything when I was there.
Right.
We even did Super Nintendo,
Yeah,
Original
exactly.
Nintendo, things like that.
Which so they've clearly tried to shorten how long they like so that they could take that merch out of their store and put in new products. They do devices. I don't know if they actually sell like phones and tablets and stuff. Like they're trying all kinds of things. Clearly they've been searching for how they can continue to survive. And what this article says to me is none of it has been drastic enough.
Right.
Because it's all just maybe here and there it helps, but it's all just we have to go somewhere very different.
So I think that we should split this down into two things. Number
Okay.
one, let's talk about the ideas they have and whether we think they're going to be good
Sure.
ideas or not. And number two, what we think that they can do
Sure, yeah.
in general. But before we even do that, I think it might be helpful if I explain what a concept store is.
You are the GameStop expert here, so
Yeah.
please do.
As an insider, there are what's called concept stores in GameStop, and that is specific stores that they know are going to bring in revenue. No matter what, that they're placed in a good spot, and so they know they can experiment with these stores
it's a
in
high
these
income
areas.
area in a
Or a high population area
center
near a lot of like younger people, and so we know that there's going to be a lot of 17-year-olds with jobs but no payouts.
Yeah, for example, you worked at one in LA, right?
In Anaheim. I was literally probably 3 miles from Disneyland.
Right down the road from Disneyland. Yeah.
And so you can imagine that high income, or at least a lot of disposable income from kids around that area.
Sure.
So they experimented a lot with these things. Now, at the time, GameStop was making plenty of money, so there wasn't a panic.
True heyday.
There wasn't a panic for us. A lot of what we did for our concept stores was store design.
Yeah.
So they would have us literally every month change the layout of our store.
Yeah.
And it was called I don't remember what it's called anymore. It doesn't matter. But we had to, swap things around, change things like that. We had somebody come in every month and take all of our security camera footage. It was there for security-ish, but more than anything, they had special marketing guys overlook it to see how people
foot
shop.
traffic and
what
time
happened,
spent
things
at
like
certain
that.
displays.
Yep. And then we would get new layout stuff, things like that. We were one of the first stores. It was us and a store on the East Coast. Only 2 stores that started doing in-store tournaments. And things like that. And
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah. So we did in-store tournaments. I was competitive Smash Melee before competitive Smash Melee was a thing.
Okay.
True story. Yeah.
All right, hipster.
I'm a competitive Smash hipster.
Now, your shop was also, if I am correct, much larger than the typical store.
We were about 2 to 3 times the size of a typical store.
I'm fairly certain I went to one in New Jersey one time because I remember walking in. Yeah. Well, this was like. I lived in Bricktown. It wasn't Bricktown. It was very close to that. So it wasn't like some huge place. It wasn't Newark or whatever. But
right.
It was like this massive, compared to what I had seen, a massive GameStop. And I felt like, why is this so big? There's so much empty space. And in retrospect, I'm wondering if that might have been one of them.
That might have been the East Coast concept store.
It might have been. It would have been a weird spot. I would have imagined that being like New York or something. But anyway. Yeah, so you had the space to be able to do things like a tournament.
Yeah.
Where at our local GameStop here, I can't imagine doing anything like there's barely space to walk around if there's 12 people in
They jam pack that thing.
At a midnight release, it is full to the brim.
Yes.
Yeah.
So concept stores exist to try new things, but also know that their revenue is going to be safe. It's not going to be that big of an issue.
So the things we're talking about are not going to be at your local GameStop anytime soon.
And I managed that GameStop almost 15 years ago now. I think it's 12 years ago now. And so I'm sure there are so many more concept stores all over the place. So these stores are individually going to be trying out new things. The 3 ones that are listed, let's hit those off one by one and give a few ideas, a few thoughts on them.
Yeah.
Number 1 was I had to figure out what the first one was. I remember the second 2. The first one was, introducing new ways for gamers to try new titles before they buy them. So this was ways for you to try games before you purchase them, getting a little like taste or maybe even a rental? I don't know. That could mean a lot of different things. So what do you think about that? The idea of gamers to try new games before they buy them.
Yeah, so this is, I think, one of their best ideas. I think a big plus with GameStop is they have a stock. They have basically any game you would currently want to buy in stock at most times. And so I think, like, because right now they have a demo stand, maybe,
Right.
where they used to just do like demo discs, where you'd have like 10 games and you could play maybe even 5 games, but you could play.
And typically those
section
demo
of them.
stands and demo discs are actually provided by
Right, yes,
Sony
they're not
or Microsoft.
GameStop,
Yeah,
they're
so we didn't get to, they don't get to choose to go in and put whatever they want in there.
Yeah. Now I don't know if it's exactly the same as that. It seems like here's a PlayStation and there's like 3 games on here that you can play a little bit. It might still be a demo, I don't know. But to me, I think the concept of, hey, I would like to try this game. Okay, cool. You got half an hour. Like, to be able to play the actual game. Now, this is going to cut back on pre-order sales. That's not what this is good for, because they don't want you to sit there and play the game a month before it comes out.
Right.
But this would be day of and after. I want to play it for half an hour. Now, game stores can choose how long and how many times you can come in and play the game, and or if you can, like, maybe this would like remove the save function of the game so that you're just playing, and then when you're done, you can't go back and play again. Like, I'm gonna play this whole game in half an hour installments every day so there'd be things. But I think the idea of, here, I want to play this game and then decide if I want to buy it right there, like, not to just be able to pull it off the shelf and say, yes, I would like this game. Or maybe you could save it to the cloud and now have your cloud, your game that you already started at GameStop ready to go at home for your copy.
That'd be really cool.
So that it doesn't feel like you have to just tread through that first half an hour tutorial of the game again. Things like that. I think that's a great idea to give people an actual taste of what the actual game is rather than a pre-constructed demo.
So for me, it depends on exactly what they mean. It's kind of a vague statement.
Yeah.
If they're talking about, say, any used title, you can pop that in, you can try it for a little while, take it back. GameStop's already had something like that since I worked there.
Have they?
7 days, you can return it for a full cash refund.
I guess that's true. That's a little more risky.
Yeah, I guess you have to commit a little more money to it, whatever else. But we had a lot of guys that would go home, beat the game.
Oh, sure.
Come back, get their cash back, come back in the next day, spend that exact cash to buy another game.
Yeah, I'm just
and it's basically
a game a week at a time.
Yeah, they basically had $20 that they set aside to beat a game a week.
It's essentially like a subscription service.
It is, and they
game at a time.
And they did it, except for they didn't have to pay $20 extra every month.
It's true.
It was a flat subscription service for one game at a time.
Do they still do that? Probably not. Probably for that.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Really?
We didn't care at all.
Sure.
Because for us, it got them in the store,
I guess.
And they sometimes would buy a second game, or sometimes they would buy an extra controller, or sometimes they would buy whatever else. And so getting somebody in the store every single week consistently,
that's fair.
It's a good thing.
That's a repeat customer.
Exactly, that's a repeat customer. On the flip side, something that they've had for a long time now is what's called a street date. And what a street date is a video game comes out, let's say October 31st. That's the date of Luigi's Mansion 3 release date, October 31st.
It's spooky.
Chances are GameStop's going to get that October 20th.
Yeah.
And it's going to sit there for 11 days. They are legally not allowed to sell a single copy. In fact, 7-Eleven got in trouble a while back. It happens
from time to time.
Yeah, for selling games before the street dates. If they could work out in the contract, 7-Eleven wanted to sell video games for a little while, and literally their pitch was, "We'll sell you the game before the street date."
We will break the law for you.
and they got in trouble for it. But if they could work something out in a contract, we can demo the game, not a game demo, the actual game. You can play the game 10 days going up to its actual release date. I think that could really improve pre-order sales and new game sales for them.
Yeah.
I think that could be something really interesting. Like, hey, do you want to reserve this game? Tell you what, it's in this system right here, right now. Like you said, you got half an hour. Go for it, dude. Play it for half an hour. Get into it. Enjoy it. Let us know what you think. We have it set right now, so it's after the intro. The 10-minute intro to this game, the story intro, whatever else. That's all done with whatever you're in the gameplay.
Huh.
Go.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea.
I think that could
It'd
really
be
help.
fun. It could be useful. The other way that I think about this is like that place that we went to. Now we might be getting more into the second half of this, but that place that we went to at the mall here in Clackamas Town Center, where you go and you can just have a party and play
live.
games. It's just it's not play demos. It's just here's a bunch of PlayStations and Xboxes, play our games.
So let's move on to the second one
Sure,
then.
yeah. We'll get into
because
that
that's
later.
a good transition right now. Let's move on to the idea of kind of cultivating local e-leagues
Yes.
and having stores that are specifically built for that.
I think that's freaking brilliant.
Yes, to me that's my favorite idea that
that
they
is
have.
solid
Yes.
because the dedicated space for e-leagues to set up, I think they could take over that market.
Yes.
They could, because they already have the space. They already have, like, it's up pre-built into it. They already have 1 million stores or whatever, like thousands of stores across the country, even in more rural areas where if some kid out in the middle of nowhere, Missouri, he wants to jump in on e-leagues, but he can't go to the place where that team practices or has a tryout or whatever.
Or he doesn't have dedicated internet.
Sure. Well, sure. I'm,
You know?
I'm thinking of specifically a physical space to go to because teams have
Right.
practice spaces, and there are like here in Portland, there is a like ELeague community which has places that people go and play. Like to be but that kid would have to drive 3 hours to St. Louis to be able to do that, or 20 minutes down the road is a GameStop. And they have 3 stations set up that he could, jump in on, 4 stations or whatever. Or they have, they bought the area, the storefront next to them, and that whole storefront now is like their dedicated ELeague thing. I really love this idea.
So I want to talk about it a lot more when we get into what we think that they can do to help improve.
Sure.
But what I'll say quickly about this one is this provides the one thing that online purchasing of games cannot do. That's the ability to turn the guy next to you and give a high five.
Yeah.
To be able to say, dude, you got me. Man, we were so close, but
Yeah.
you got me. Or to have your team sitting there right next to you. Maybe you're playing online, maybe you're not, but all of you guys are right there and you offer the dude chips, or you guys barely pull out that PUBG win and you get up and you hug or you all
Right.
cheer or whatever else. And that physical camaraderie is just not available
Yes.
if you only buy games online. Even if you only play games online, it's not possible.
A few weeks ago, we went to it had anything to do with like an ELeague or anything, but it was a like gaming event where
Right.
they had a bunch of games systems set up and people were playing Fortnite. Like those kids could have all stayed home and played on their computer or on their phone. They went to a physical space to
And
interact
to be clear,
with each other
this was
for
not
a reason.
24 kids. This was about 150
Yeah, this was a
students
very large event.
held in a junior high school.
Yes, but they went there for a reason. Because being there in person with other people playing a game that you all love playing together is a much different experience than even talking to each other online while playing in the same game. And so if GameStop... Now, this also ties in with the very thing that we talked about before, getting people in the store.
Yep.
They're there.
Yep.
And they now are staring at a wall of games while they're hanging out. And the somebody being in your store, I would assume, ups the possibility of them spending money in your store by 1,000,000,000%. I think this is awesome. It also would open up the idea of e-leagues to more people instead of like sponsored teams in 8 cities across the country. You just have your GameStop league where you can come up, you and your squad of 5 friends have your own team and you play in your local tournaments, but you can also this whole like national tournament. You get invited to the LA concept place where they have this massive thing going. I think
we'll
it's
talk about
awesome.
that more in a little
Sure,
bit. So
sure.
I'm going to cut you off right there.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this last one real quick. Specifically, retro gaming store. I think this is the worst idea.
It depends on what it's kind of vague because to me that says we're just going to open an arcade.
Right.
Which is fun. Like we go to a barcade in Portland from time to time, and it's a fun place to go.
Yeah.
But that seems antithetical to what GameStop has been.
I think what they mean by this is specifically geared toward PS2 and younger systems, or older systems, and older systems.
And as somebody who loves the PS2 and plays lots of games on it still to this day that have been remastered for it, I don't really see what the point of that is.
Exactly, and that's
what
really
am I,
my
what
thought.
am I doing? What am I doing when I'm there?
You got two major audiences in gaming right now, and that is a probably 20 and younger audience, and then like 20 and older audience.
Sure.
And what really separates them is their knowledge of retro gaming.
Yeah.
And so that means that you're losing this entire younger audience that either A, doesn't give a crap about retro gaming, or B, can download it on their Switch.
Yeah, most
or download it on their PS4.
In this era, most popular games from those systems have been remastered.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you're pandering toward the 20 and older, or maybe even 30 and older audience, and a lot of them, A, are going to download it on their Switch or on their PS4.
Right.
B, have those games. I
still have them.
I have PS2s, Final Fantasy 7,
I have 3
Final
copies
Fantasy
of
8,
Final Fantasy
9.
10, everybody.
Yeah,
3 copies on different systems.
Yes, like we have these already. Or finally, ABC don't want to go to a GameStop to buy that stuff. They are part of
Craigslist it.
Yeah, Craigslist.
Because it's all going to be used.
Yeah.
It's going to be used everywhere you go.
So unless you in some way are also going to be making it a barcade, this is GameStop's bar and retro gaming, which is a thing already. So again, you got that 21 and over crowd and the retro gaming stuff. But other than that, I don't see how this is going to help get people in their stores buying product.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it could work in larger cities. Now, in Portland, you got many GameStops. So in one of those, you have, this is the retro GameStop. It's Retro Stop. But another one is ELeague Stop. And another one, and so, they're just, it used to be where you had EB Games, you had GameStop, you had Babbage's.
Right.
They're all the same company. They just kind of have different styles to them.
We bought them all. GameStop bought them all.
Sure, GameStop bought them all, and for a while they still continue to exist
individually
as the same, although they were owned by the same parent company, and then they all just became GameStop for brand recognition. But maybe they start doing that, where they all have same visual style. I mean, it's dumb, but literally call it ELeague Stop and Retro Stop and GameStop. GameStop is a fairly standard store. You go and buy some games. ELeague Stop, this is where you're going to play with each other, play online with each other, tournaments and all that. Retro Stop is more of an arcade / we have PS2 set up that you can play old games on with, or original Xboxes, and you can play original Xbox. You can play original Halo with each other, not even just the remastered. That small crowd who wants to play death matches in Blood Gulch in the original Halo on these 4 networked Xboxes can do that. And also, drink while they're there. Make it okay for, make that kind of, you have adult night or something. So I like the concept of I think all of these have some merit to them, but not all on equal levels by far.
No.
The retro thing is very niche kind of, and it would have to be in a big city where you can also have other things going on.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
So let's talk
let's
move
on
about what are some solid things that we think GameStop can do to be able to start growing again or surviving again. So, and I have a number one thought. This is before I get to my thoughts on the whole ELeague thing. Number one thought is stop treating your customers like customers.
Yeah.
The whole mindset of the gaming community right now is we are united. When we've talked about this, we are united way more uniquely than any other market, quote unquote. We are almost like a political party in that if you see somebody and they're a gamer, you feel connected with them in some way already.
Sure, yeah. You can have there was a guy last night that I was talking to at church. He's another leader in a youth group, and I mentioned that I was playing Borderlands, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna play Borderlands too soon." And it's just we became instant best friends.
Yes.
No, but we were able to talk about things. We were both looking forward to Borderlands 3, and it just became this instant connection.
So because of that, gamers would walk into a GameStop, they'd see somebody and talk to them about games and feel that connection, that little bit of camaraderie, and then immediately feel like they're being manipulated by this guy they just had a connection with, or this girl they had a connection with, because we were pressured, and they are still pressured
Yes.
by a corporate office.
It's so annoying
like
still.
slammed by a corporate office. Don't, by the way, guys, please don't blame your behind the counter GameStop employees for the way that they treat subscriptions to their magazine,
For how much they ask you that
reservations.
stuff.
That
They
stuff.
don't want to.
They don't want to. We hated that.
Yeah.
But there would be corporate meetings, corporate pressure. The corporate office demands that employees of GameStop do this, or you could be fired.
Right.
That is a very real thing. It's your job on the line.
I don't know if I've ever had somebody like, it's so obvious every time I go into GameStop nowadays, and I have been fairly more often because Amazon stopped doing their discount thing for new games. But like every single time, it just seems like they're trying to say it in the most I don't actually care about this kind of way.
Right.
Like you want to, you can pre-order anything if you want. And I was like, no, like, okay. Like they don't care. Like they're not trying to, and I do pre-order sometimes because I know that they kind of need help with that. And like, that's something
if you know you're going to buy the game anyway,
yeah,
get somebody pre-order.
Yeah. I will literally ask, hey, who needs a pre-order?
Yeah.
And, most of the time they're like, anybody, whatever,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's annoying, and that's a problem with the store right now. So stop doing that.
Yes. And so that'd be a huge thing. If they could just stop pressuring their employees to pressure their customers.
Yes.
That would make things so much easier to go shop there. That is why, specifically and clearly, why people hate to shop there.
Yes.
Also because so many of the people that shop at a GameStop aren't gamers. They're moms and dads.
Yeah.
And moms and dads are tired of hearing about, do you want to get our credit card? Do you want to get a subscription? Do you want to be part of this or that or the other thing? You know what I mean? And so stop it.
Now well, for those things specifically, pre-orders, everybody knows what a pre-order is.
Right.
Most people are going to know whether or not they're going to pre-order something from the start. They're not going to like say, oh, I can do that? No, they know what that is. I also think Game Informer is a solid magazine.
It is.
So I think they should continue doing that, or at least in some way. I mean, I understand print is a dying business, but like I appreciate that. So if they continue to display that, hey, that'd be awesome. You could put I don't know. It's that's a whole different thing, print versus online magazines. But I don't think that. It's a real problem. It's one of my least favorite parts.
And again, the pressure comes from the corporate office.
Yes.
And it's the responsibility of the corporate office to stop and say, hey, you know what? If we glance online, we find that people hate that. Maybe we should stop doing that.
Research says this, and the only problem is that it's likely that they continue to do it because maybe it does. Maybe the numbers go up if, compared to if they don't ask.
I'll tell you this right now. $500 million says it doesn't.
That's a good point. It's a good point. It might be a drop in the bucket that is mostly empty.
So here's what I really, really want to talk about that GameStop can do that would really help, that I loved when I worked at a GameStop. And that is the tournaments or other events that we did, midnight releases, things like that brought people in the store, not just as customers, but as a party,
participants in this event.
We would do events like and this again because I was a manager, or when I was assistant manager, our manager had friends, whatever, that had bands, and we would talk to our people who owned our area, like our shopping center, and be like, hey, can we just hold like a midnight local band thing? It won't be super loud. We're not going to bother anybody, anything like that. But they're going to come. They're going to play a half-hour set from 11:15 to 11:45, and then we get to go down and do a countdown for the last 15 minutes.
Nice.
Things like, and it was
That'd be
so
super
much fun.
Yeah.
And people came and they cosplayed. We had food. We would, we'd have popcorn. We'd rent a popcorn machine. Things like that. We made it a big deal. And again, the camaraderie of it all.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
It was
I would go to those
great.
for games I don't even want.
Yeah, exactly. I would go to them just for fun. But you know what happens after that? You meet the employees, you talk to them, you get to know them. And while you're there, hey, you know what, man? Maybe I will get this game. Everybody here's talking about it like it's going to be so awesome. Maybe I will pick it up.
Yeah. We went to the Pokemon Midnight release for X and Y, and that was a really fun time because we were making it a fun time.
Yeah.
For us personally. Like, people are having fun without us, obviously, standing in line. But that had nothing to do with GameStop. GameStop, nowadays, midnight releases, they don't really do anymore. They are now, basically, if I bought a game coming out the 26th for Youngblood, if I were to pre-order Youngblood at GameStop, Wolf and Son Youngblood, and were to go get it, it's not a midnight release. It's you can get it, you can pick it up after 8.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a thing anymore. You can just go get it the night before.
Yeah.
And it's just it's more just like transactional. But turning it into an event is really fun. When we went to Pokemon and they had a line of 150, 200 people, and we were like talking to people and interviewing them and like just having fun and joking around. That was really fun. Even though it was super cold out, we were all having a great time.
It was like 40 degrees,
and
which for us was freezing.
And it had nothing to do with GameStop.
Yeah. We made it fun. There was one dude at the door, I think his name was Zach, and he was one of the employees at GameStop.
Oh, sure.
And he was also a fun guy.
He is a big old mushroom, but they are real
fun guy, guys. Big old mushroom.
Yeah, you gotta let it go. Like, not saying that GameStop employees weren't bad, like that were bad at this. Like, they're just as excited. We had a friend of ours who works at that GameStop was in line and having a good time too.
You can watch the video of the back of Haley's head on our channel now.
No, but I'm not saying what I'm saying is that it had nothing to do with GameStop as a company.
Right.
The employees were having fun too. It's it's kind of like, but they didn't do anything. The company wasn't making it more fun.
Right.
Like, I was hoping for like, we got some posters that they sent. Let's, a trivia contest, giveaways, things like that. Or
admittedly, that stuff that we did was our ideas, and we approved it with our district manager, and we approved it with our shopping center, things like that. But it began with us. It was our ideas.
Well, sure. But your company said, let's do it. Like, that's cool. Sounds great.
And so why not take that idea and run with it, man? Yeah. Do more with it and
make
say,
that
you know
a big
what?
Thing.
Because let's say major releases in a year, 6, you think, of video game releases?
Yeah, no, it wouldn't be every game.
Exactly.
It'd be the games that, like, play it by ear. How many pre-orders do you have for Madden?
That's a great idea.
Make it a big event.
Yeah.
Or for the ones make Cyberpunk huge.
Yeah, exactly.
Come up with cool themes.
We did cosplay contests for Batman Arkham Asylum, I think that maybe was the first one, and people came cosplayed in all kinds of Batman
cosplay
stuff.
Contest. Just have Blade Runner showing on the TVs in your store. Like, you come up with a theme, like put a bunch of neon in your store and turn off the lights and make it like, like just something to make it a big deal. That would be so much fun. I would go to those kind of things guaranteed, rather than just I'm going to go pick up my game.
You know what happened? It'd make me want to buy from GameStop. That's for sure.
I would be more interested in giving my money to even that big corporation GameStop if they were putting effort into creating local events for the people that
over pre-ordering on Amazon or whatever else.
Yes, for the people that are that are providing them business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the camaraderie of it is really what GameStop needs to lean into, which brings me to what I think is their best idea and what I really think they should do, and that's the ELeague idea that they had.
Yeah, no, it's solid. Like, that one just seems obvious to me now that I think about it, but like,
think of this.
Just do it.
Right now, eSports are as popular as they've ever been, and they're only becoming more popular.
Yes.
It's a little late to the game to try and jump on that bandwagon, but not too late to the game. They're still growing. They're still getting bigger.
It would be late to the game if they just tried to jump in and make a huge thing.
Right.
I say you start from the ground up, tying in with your local people who come and would come to your store. What
if they just started doing at one store in a county? That's it.
Yeah.
One store in a county. Was your eSports, and there was the GameStop League.
You have your Portland team, like Portland GameStop League,
and that's it. And then there are tryouts that they hold, and then you have practices, and there are waivers that you have to sign, and you have parent meetings. And you
make it a community thing.
You do it all volunteers. You know what? I'd volunteer for that.
I'd have a lot of fun doing that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you have parent meetings, whatever else, and you say, hey guys, if your kid's really good, just know that. You know what's happening in colleges these days? Esports are becoming a college thing.
This is a thing
that you can do. So, you know what? The same way that you could cultivate your student to be a football star or a baseball star, you can cultivate them to be an Overwatch star.
Yeah.
And they're actually probably a better chance
of
them making money off of this.
Your kid's not going to get a concussion.
Yeah.
Your kid might spend a fair amount of time sitting, and, he's still going to need exercise, but he's not going to get tackled by a 400-pound person.
So, well,
just digitally.
That depends. Yeah, digitally. But So they lean into that, and all of a sudden, GameStop isn't just the store where they sell stuff. There's the GameStop League.
Yeah.
GameStop gets sponsors. GameStop gets put on ESPN. GameStop gets online, movement. GameStop becomes this huge
Yeah.
name for the GameStop League, and fans get to come and watch at GameStop.
Sure.
GameStop opens a kitchen next door, or maybe they make a deal with the food place next door, and they open things for fans to come and watch, and fans eat their food.
Yes.
Like, there's so much potential to grow on. There is no such thing in all sports right now. There are what called farm leagues.
Yeah.
Farm leagues are the local teams, minor leagues, things like that, or even there are wood bat leagues for baseball. There are college leagues, like not college NCAA. In the off season,
Yeah.
college guys play to
College
stay.
college students.
Yeah, college students to stay warm. They do this stuff. I'm talking exclusively baseball right now, of course. There's so many different small leagues because scouts will go out and you can make it to the big leagues. That's not a thing for esports right
Yeah.
now. There's no such thing as your local team, the Gresham Grey Wolves.
It's
Wood
more
Bat
of an
League.
online presence.
Yes.
Which, as we've talked about before, is not super viable for a lot of people.
So, like you said, what if there's some dude in the middle of Missouri, middle of nowhere, who is actually super, super good at
He's
Smash Brothers
Pretty
Ultimate,
solid at Smash, yeah.
but he doesn't know it because he can't play online that well. His internet's not great, and he knows that he and his friends, they're all really good. They beat anybody else who comes around, and he's the best of his friends. Hey, you know what? Maybe he's number 3 in the world, and nobody knows it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just
Yeah.
not something
It's a
that
cool
anybody's aware of.
opportunity.
Yeah.
To just give an opportunity for people to play, and you'd make money off of this. Like, at the bottom line, GameStop has to be able to make money.
Right.
Rental time, like if you're signing up, like sponsorships from companies, things like that. Like, there's obviously the ELeague makes money for people.
Yeah.
ELeague system makes money for the people putting it on. So
Yeah.
jump in on that. Here, all of this ties into what I think is what they should take as their new model of how to work.
And I think I have one too. So let's go conclusions right now.
Okay.
Conclusion. You first. Go.
Look to your local game store, GameStop.
Hmm.
Here in Troutdale, we have a place called Goin Gaming.
Oh yeah.
It's an awesome store.
I love this place, man.
It is not only like you can go buy board games, you can buy any Magic single, your singles, your packs, whatever. Like, they got all that. They got D&D supplies, paint supplies, anything you would really need for any kind of tabletop gaming or card games, TCGs. And which a lot of GameStops also, or game stores also have, but just a bunch of open tables. Like, I've gone to Goin Gaming, haven't spent $1 that evening, but I just hung out and played some Keyforge with some friends, and they were just like, "Hey guys, like,
they're so happy with that. Yeah.
like, cool, come hang out, like, just playing some Keyforge." They'll jump in if it's a not a busy time. But they also have karaoke. They have their own like kitchen where you can order food. They have a small arcade in the back, which they do like tournaments on Killer Queen Black, or
Yeah, something like that.
where they do tournaments like that. They have, of course, local or Friday Night Magic. But they are, if they were in a better place with more people, they would be a solid community hangout spot for that whole thing.
Well, they are a solid community hangout spot.
They still are.
For our local small community.
For our local spot, which is it's on the edge of the Portland area.
Yeah, we are just before it becomes rural.
They are essentially like almost literally
on the edge.
On the edge of town.
Almost literally,
yes. But it's a great spot, and I think GameStop should do that same thing. Like, have some tables set up so that people and just host like, "Hey, it's 3DS night. Come in and play Pokemon together."
We'll provide cords. Trade the crap out of your Pokemon.
Well, you don't have to have cords.
We'll provide cords.
Cords. All right, everybody, bring your Game Boy Colors with your red and blue, and we'll have a cord for you. Although you could still use the infrared with that. bring your original Game Boys that you all have, your gray bricks. But just like, it doesn't have to be like these pre-order events are a huge deal. Like, that'd be a big thing. This doesn't have to be. Literally just say, "Hey, it's 3DS night. Everybody come and you can street pass and play Animal Crossing together and go to each other's towns."
Yeah.
That's awesome. Kids want to do that, but maybe don't have a lot of friends that have it, or like, their parents don't want them going to these people they don't know. So GameStop is a known quantity. it's a local store by Walmart that like just right down the road, so they can drop them off for a couple hours or something. Like, take what you have already, your extremely local pervasive presence and your known you are known to parents, and use that. So come and hang out, bring your Switch and play some Smash. Like, you don't need to like have it be a big event, but just open it up to being more than a store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if I were to bottom line it for me, I would say lean into what online cannot provide.
Yes.
And that's community.
Yeah.
Lean into the community aspect of it. So that means hold events, do ELeagues, whatever. Like, just have your very, very beginning thing before you have any other thoughts. Your very first thought is, what can online not provide?
Yeah. What could they get at home? Let's not really do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so the purpose of games, one of the major purpose of games, is to bring people together to have fun.
Yeah.
Whether that's board games, card games, and a lot of video games.
Yeah.
Bring people together, have fun, lean into that hardcore. The community aspect of it, that physical community, provide food, hold events, do things that bring people together in a way that online cannot do.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, if local gaming stores are any example, people are going to say, no, everybody's an introvert these days. Nobody wants to do that. They do. They really do.
Yeah, it's not true.
Local
People
gaming
will
stores
overcome
prove
that.
the opposite.
Yeah.
They prove the opposite. One of our friends, so we had this real big Magic the Gathering play group, but then all of us had kids.
Yes.
And so it kind of fizzled, except for one friend of ours
Yeah,
didn't.
we were talking about this the other night.
Yeah, and so he didn't really have anything. So he went to a Magic tournament at a local game store, and he just walked up to a couple of guys and were like, hey, do you guys have a play group? And they're like, yeah, we do. Can I play? Yeah. And so he's got a new play group now.
He just hangs out with them and plays Magic.
Exactly. This happens, whether you think it does or not. It absolutely happens that introverts will still go to community gaming stores because that is a place that they know they'll have comrades. They know that there are people who identify with them.
Yeah.
And so lean into that GameStop. Lean into it and say, okay, we've got the gaming part. People don't walk into a Target and know that everybody there is a gamer. People walk into a GameStop and know this
Everybody's
is the
there for
gaming
the same
place.
reason.
Yeah. Lean into that. Provide something that the online world cannot do, and that's physical community.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, guys, let us know what you think about GameStop's new ideas for their concept stores. Let us know what you think about GameStop in general, and let us know what you think about our ideas about how brick-and-mortar stores can stay alive in this day and age. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks so much for your support, and always remember that saved games save lives.
See you next week.